Hi everyone. My name is Ilya. This will be, I would say, more or less kind of an overview or lecture, you can say so, rather than a workshop. But still, I hope you'll find it interesting. We will take a look at what the interview pipeline at Yandex looks like and how you can prepare for it, or even if you don't want to apply for any job position at Yandex, which is a pity if it's so, how you can better prepare for your next interview at some other company as well. I'll get back to that a bit later too. So as I said, I'll walk you through the interview loop from the candidate's perspective. This is not going to be a talk about any internal confidential details, unfortunately. But still, the goal is practical. We'll try to understand each stage, why they exist, how to prepare for them, and, well, learn how to prepare for them better. Before we do that, let me just quickly introduce myself. Well, as I said, my name is Ilya, and I've been working at Yandex for the past almost 7 years. I've grown from a software engineer to an engineering manager position. Today, I lead a mobile platform tech team and at Yandex Pro and an AI automation stream at RideTech. During these 7 years, I've conducted more than 150 interviews of all of different kinds, from coding and architectural to behavioral, cultural fit, and so on, and hired a few dozens of engineers. So this lets me say that I've probably seen this process from, well, not all of possible angles, but probably many of them. And hopefully, I'll be able to share some useful advice here. Well, my key observation is that many candidates fail during interviews, not because they are bad engineers. Of course, there are bad engineers. Of course, bad engineers come to the interviews as well. They don't know what to do and thus fail because they don't know how to code the solution. But very often, the problem is not their hard skills, but also the soft skills, also lack of preparation, stuff like this. And this brings us to the main reason for this talk. Why actually we are here. But again, before we uncover the next slide, just want to ask you, could you please raise your hands if you ever failed an interview at any company? Are there people who failed? Yes, I am one of those persons too. I failed a few interviews in the past. Well, the problems are, these, not limited to this list, but I just decided to highlight those. First, people often try to guess the answers if they don't know them, instead, or try to memorize things instead of do proper research before, instead of trying to understand how things work. Second, lack of preparation. I said it before. Interview is a thing that you have to specifically prepare for. This is very important. It's a terrible thing to just go on an interview without preparation, without doing any preparation upfront, because interviews require preparation. Three, underestimating the importance of communication. Here I mean that, well, the interviews are often about solving a task, about coding a solution, about designing a system, for instance, but they also about showing your ability to communicate, show your ability to ask questions, show your ability to explain what you are doing, why you are doing it in this particular way. And four, lack of understanding of what the interview is actually testing, what it assesses. We'll get back to that later too. Basically, this talk is going to be divided into three sections. We will take a look at the interview pipeline, step by step, what interviews there are in a standard loop. We'll examine most common mistakes at each stage of process, and we will try to learn how to prepare for those interviews. Let's take a look at the pipeline itself. Here at Yandex, it might be quite long. There could be up to 6 stages, which are, as you can see on the screen, are the screening section. The first talk with a recruiter, which is usually a short stage. Like this talk takes more or less 30 to 45 minutes, maybe. Sometimes it involves some technical questions as well. Second part is the platform or language-specific section, then the coding part, then 2 optional stages. They are optional because not always do you have to pass them. It depends on the level of engineer, it depends on the position a person applies for, but still they might be there. These are the system design and the experience assessment. They can have different names. So the system designs, for instance, may be named in a bit of a different way, like something like a I have no idea what is the equivalent of this Russian name in English. In English, it's usually system design. Honestly, yeah, just never mind. But experience assessment can be something like a technical deep dive or like experience deep dive or things like that. And then the very last step is a final interview with a hiring manager if you succeeded on all of the previous stages. Of course, in order to get on board a team, you will have to talk to your potential future lead too. There might be a few different interviews actually with a few different hiring managers, with a few different team leads, if you are suitable for different positions. You are up to choose actually on here. But what's interesting here is that the structure is common for Yandex, but it is not limited to Yandex. The pipeline of the interviews today are more or less the same in almost any of a medium-large tech companies. So basically, what you might see at any of the larger tech companies is kind of the same. Details may vary from company to company, but like the broad categories are familiar across the industry. Then let's proceed and meet our hero. His name is Alex. He's not a real person. I know he looks realistic, but he's not. And we will follow Alex along the path that stands in front of him. He's a software engineer. He's applying for a software engineering position at Yandex. He's got relevant experience, but like many candidates, he has no idea what's going to happen next. What he will have to see in the upcoming few weeks for him. So Alex will start where everything usually starts, at the screening part. We're here, like the very beginning of the loop. The screening, in my opinion, is probably the easiest part, but also the most underestimated part. We'll cover it quickly in order to save some time. But still, yeah, let's zoom in and see what it is usually about and what usual mistakes that candidates make during the screening are. So the common things are as follows. Candidates tend to, during the screening, they tend to like repeat what there was in their CV, give like a long, unfocused biography, provide some generic motivation for the role, telling that they are just like wanted to change the job in order to become a better engineer without any like specific reasoning. What surprises me is that many candidates sometimes cannot explain their own projects, the projects they've been working on for in the past. They can provide the numbers. My colleague Rita and Shahriyor, colleagues Rita and Shahriyor in the previous section, in the previous talk, mentioned that it's very important to be able to name the numbers, name the technologies you worked with, the reasons these technologies existed, to provide context, provide details. Very often people either forget or just don't prepare that info before the screening, and then the recruiter just doesn't get an idea what this person has been working on in the past. Weak connection into the role is something that happens quite often as well, whereas the stronger approach here would be honestly quite simple. What you have to do is just prepare a concise self-intro, make up a story of your experience, what you've been doing on your previous position, what you were working on, with whom and why, what you achieved. Provide relevant experience first. Don't highlight details that don't matter. And show some clear motivation and examples of your concrete ownership or some evidence of your impact on the tasks or achievements that were there in your past experience. Our hero, Alex, he's got it. He has a story covering, well, his experience, the stack he's worked with, the scale of the systems that were there in his previous position, and some explanation why he decided to change the job and what expectations he's got from his next position. Let's suppose that he succeeded. The takeaway here is as follows. Well, first, just remember that this screening, it's not a formality. It's not like a short talk with the recruiter that just has to happen there before the next part. It's the first structured filter. There are sometimes, as I said, technical questions as well, so it's important to make a quick recap of your knowledge on the technology you're working with. Prepare to answer some theoretical questions. Not coding yet, that's going to be next step. Be concise, be clear, and highlight your role specific details. Tell only relevant stuff. Then let's move on to the more juicy part of the pipeline, the platform/language specific interview and the coding interview. This is not where you tell stories. This is not where only experience or theoretical part happens. This is where you solve problems. These two interviews are two separate stages. Both of them take 60 to 90 minutes, something like that. So something around 2.5 hours in total for two different stages, happening usually on 2 different weeks, at least. We'll take a look at both of them at once, since both of them are about solving a task or a few different tasks, but in kind of different ways. So let's take a look first at the difference. The difference is actually quite simple. The language platform-specific interview is, as you can see from its name, it usually goes about some stack-aware problems involving some specific syntax of the language that you work with, involving some runtime or framework or platform constraints, involving some idiomatic technical choices if you are solving a task. The coding part is usually more about some abstract problem, about generic reasoning, about algorithmic clarity, and management of edge cases. What our hero, our unprepared hero, might think when he arrives in this section. Well, he might think that, okay, this is a coding interview. I have to solve some task. have to code something. Timer is ticking, got 60 minutes. Then that means that I probably have to be quick, gotta solve the task quickly. There's probably a single right solution I have to find. Not many of them, right? Because probably there's just one. And well, I have to probably show that I know like everything about language or framework I work with, should cover as many topics as possible. Actually, this stage assesses, alongside the ability of the candidate to actually write code, also the ability of a candidate to understand the problem quickly, to provide some reasoning, standing for their solution, to decompose the task and do that again in a like clear verbal way. It assesses the communication while solving, whether the candidate just sits silently trying to come up with solution, trying to code it without explaining what he's doing, why he's doing it in this particular way. Of course, it assesses the technical stuff as well, the code clarity, the correctness of the code, the appropriate use of language or platform specifics, but also attention to assumptions, constraints, and edge cases. What do you guys think the common mistakes, if we follow our weak version of Alex, the one on the left, what are the common mistakes might be that lead to a failure on this stage? Any ideas? Like what a candidate can do so that he fails with like more chances? Solving tasks silently, yeah. Yeah, not understanding the problem, I guess, the question, just immediately starting to code the solution, right? Well, actually, yeah, these things. Well, first, jumping into the code is something that happens way too often. I mean, way too often. Candidates just start writing code. They don't try to understand what the task stands for. They don't try to understand whether there are edge cases, whether there are some caveats they have to identify, they have to ask about. They do not ask clarifying questions. They just think silently. As you said, they forget those. That's a consequence. They forget edge cases, and eventually they might also ignore some constraints of the problem, just trying to solve everything in a rushy attempt. The stronger approach here could be, well, not that difficult actually. Well, first thing you have to do is clarify your assumptions first. Probably when you see a task, you start to think, okay, what I have to do. You think of constraints. You come up with some assumptions, and these assumptions may be either right or wrong. So in order to test that, you can just clarify them verbally. I mean, ask the interviewer whether you understood the problem correctly. The interviewer there sits for a reason. He's a person. You can talk to him or her. The interviewer will answer questions, your questions. He will actually try to help you. He's there to help, not to let you fail. So use it. Think of edge cases. Again, up front, mention them. Think aloud. Think what you want to do, and then explain it again verbally. If you've come with a solution, you know what you want to code, just explain it explicitly before doing anything. And of course, explain complexity in terms of time, in terms of space, if we're talking about any algorithm, your decisions and trade-offs that you see. Okay, let's try to take a look at an example. Here's an example of a task, not the most difficult one, actually quite a simple one. This is not a task that you might see during an interview at Yandex. Our tasks are usually a bit more complicated, but still. what you have to do is to merge intervals. You're given a list of intervals. You have to merge all overlapping intervals. Each of interval is represented as a list of two values, which are the start and the end of an interval. We've got two examples of input and output, and this is basically it. From now on, you have to code the solution that will merge these intervals. What our unprepared, weak version of Alex might do here? Well, he can just start coding immediately. He assumes that intervals are already sorted. He doesn't clarify whether, for instance, 1, 4, and 4 and 5 overlap and what should be done in this situation. Does not handle empty input, doesn't ask whether he should handle it one way or another. Can write something that works for just first example only, not testing his solution on another example. Doesn't try to come up with a few more test cases. Then discovers some edge cases while coding, starts patching them, doesn't clearly explain the invariant. Eventually, what can happen is some code like this. Not going to read it aloud. Still, it's not terrible. It just doesn't work. It will crash on empty input. And what an interviewer will see, he'll identify a few problems. For instance, crashing on empty input. For instance, incorrect work with the overlapping intervals, and he'll understand that okay, the candidate or Alex, he doesn't understand the problem. He didn't provide any reasoning. He just started coding. I have to help him. So the interviewer will ask some questions one by one. For instance, what will happen if we get an empty input? How the overlapping intervals again will behave. He's not gonna tell Alex that the solution is wrong. He's not gonna tell that it doesn't work. He is not gonna show where the problem sits precisely. He'll just ask some questions like those I mentioned, one by one. Such situations usually lead to like an immersion level of stress on the side of a candidate. He tries to, he understands that there are problems probably, like if he's asking me, then probably there are some problems with this. He's trying to patch initially wrong solution, introducing new bugs instead of the previous ones, building up things on top of another things, eventually ending up with a lone solution that just doesn't work again, and that is terrible in terms of readability. What a stronger version of our Alex can do here? Well, first, he will try to clarify assumptions first. Again, he'll think, are intervals sorted? If, can they touch? What should happen for empty input? If intervals are unsorted, I have to probably sort them by start, right? Then I'll just start from left to right, keep one current merged interval. For each next one, if it overlaps or touches the current one, I just extend the current interval. Otherwise, I just finalize the current interval and start a new one. Only then he starts to write code, previously explaining everything that he's done, just like I did before. And one thing I forgot, and as I said, candidates also forget, explain the complexity. What's the complexity in terms of time? Because of sorting here is O and log n. What's the complexity in terms of the output space? Hopefully, this will lead to a better working solution. Yet, of course, to achieve this, our candidate has to be familiar with the language he's using, with classic data structures, algorithms, have some coding experience. But we can just make an assumption that it's something that's there already. in the arsenal of our hero. Anyway, what can be done even better then is our candidate can go a bit further. He can make up a few test cases, a test case for an empty input, test case with a single interval, with some overlapping intervals, with some touching boundaries, and the test case for an unsorted input. And then test his solution on each of these test cases, again explaining verbally how the solution will work on each of them. It's not extra polish, it's just a part of solution showing the interviewer that the candidate understands the code he's written, understands the problem, the edge cases, and, well, the eventual ultimate solution. This leads us to a set of takeaways, which I will repeat. Well, first, when you're given a task, clarify assumptions before starting to code. Explain the approach before implementation. Test edge cases explicitly. Name them. Make correctness of your solution visible to the interviewer. And keep your code simple and readable. Don't try to over-engineer too early. Okay, let's suppose that our hero handled coding. Now he moves to a different kind of problem, a system design stage, which is, as I said earlier, is optional. There's no guarantee that you will have to pass it. Depends, again, on the level of a candidate, on the requirements for the position he applies for. But still, we will take a look at it. Here, on the system design stage, the problem is not about the syntax, not about the coding. It's more about decisions. It's about designing a system. And, well, surprise, the strong approach here will be quite similar to the one on the previous stage. But first, let's start with a question. What do you think are typical mistakes candidates make on during a system design interview? Any guesses? Yeah? Not asking questions. Yeah, that's common. Asking questions actually is a good thing. Again? Can't hear you, sorry, you have to be louder. Learn everything, like trying to memorize things. Well, yeah. I would rephrase it saying that, like trying to guess the solution based on what you learned in a book or in an article without trying to adjust your solution to the task you were given. Yes. Also, again, the most common thing I see in the verdicts of interviewers during system design interviews is that candidates, again, they start drawing the scheme immediately. They just rush into drawing the components of the future system without asking clarifying questions, without clarifying requirements, which are the key here. If during the coding interview, the caveat is usually the edge cases. During the system design interview, the caveat is usually the requirements. They do not discuss trade-offs and, again, try to over-engineer too early. The stronger approach here would be, well, exactly the opposite. Clarifying functional requirements, not forgetting some non-functional requirements, not forgetting to ask about the scale, defining system boundaries, starting with a very simple baseline, evolving the design step by step. During the interview, the interviewer will help you. He will probably introduce some new requirements over time. What you will see in the beginning, in the description of the task, is not what will be there in the list of like final requirements when you made a baseline. Identifying bottlenecks, failure points, and again, explaining trade-offs which are always there. Let's take a look at an example. Again, not a sophisticated one, quite a simple task, designing a notification service that sends notifications to users when important product events happen. What events this could be? You're given some examples, for instance, driver arrived, or order status changed, or payment failed. You might also be given in such task some out-of-scope requirements, which are a tip actually for you, that, for instance, we do not need any email or SMS notifications in the first version. We don't need to think about marketing campaigns, personalization, or advanced analytics. Where should we begin then? As I said, first we shall begin with clarifying requirements, which are divided into two different types of requirements. Again, some functional and non-functional ones. It applies to basically all stacks, not only backend, but mobile development as well, front end too. They just are different in terms of what these details are, but still they are sort of the same. So yeah, you can start with clarifying them. In our example task, it could be questions like, are all notifications equally important? Or do we need to think about some delivery status? Do we need to store it somewhere? Or show it then to some party that is dealing with the system? Non-functional requirements: what's the expected traffic? What's the peak load? What's our latency target? Do we have one? And so on. Then, again, establishing assumptions. Our hero might come up with a few. For instance, okay, we need push notifications only, right? Since it was mentioned that we don't need any email, SMS, although we do need to deliver notifications to our user, which uses a mobile client, then probably this is just the push notifications, right? Ask the interviewer about that. Establish other assumptions, like events can arrive from, for instance, multiple product services, or delivery does not need to happen synchronously, so on. Then move to implementing a simple scheme. Again, start from a baseline that we've got some product backends, we've got our notification API, queue, some delivery workers, which communicate directly to APNS, FCM, HSM, whatever system that sends notifications to user's device. Only then add some missing production concerns. For instance, if we need to deal, if an interviewer says that, well, okay, yeah, good, look, our user can also have some preferences for notifications. We need to think about them as well. There was a product manager that came up and said, guys, implement this. Then we can say, fine, right, implement a notification database, then database for preferences. Or we have to limit the requests, then we introduce the rate limiter. And explain each component step by step without trying to introduce those concerns before they arrive. Such approach might be represented in a simple scheme you might want to follow in a structure when you are dealing with a system design task. Just start from requirements, clarify the scale, the constraints, come up with some high-level design, what components there will be, introduce the data model, some critical flows, mention failure modes, how you are supposed to deal with them, and of course mention the trade-offs and what are the evolutionary steps might look like. I'll stop for a while on this slide in order to let you finish your photo. Okay, perfect. So the set of takeaways here is this. The set first, separate core flow from your production concerns, clarify the problem before designing, start simple, evolve over time when new requirements arrive, if they arrive, and explain trade-offs and discuss failure modes. So after technical interviews, our hero reaches the final part of the loop, experience and conversation with a hiring manager, with his potential future team lead. There are again two different sections we will try to cover at once. The first one, the experience assessment, might go either deeper into the technical decisions you took in the past, some kind of a technical deep dive, into your experience, or more into some kind of a general experience involving some project management skills you have, involving some questions about your collaboration with, say, your teammates from other teams. Like if you're a backend developer, then how we were dealing with a mobile team, what decisions you had to make communicating to those guys. The final with the hiring manager is usually about, well, first of all, the fit with a particular team that this person is leading, but also questions about your accountability, about your ownership skills, about your experience. Nonetheless, both of these interviews are more or less the same about your experience. So we'll cover both of them at once. This is kind of a final boss. And let's see what our hero might think here, if he's unprepared, if he doesn't look like far enough. He might think that, okay, talking to a hiring manager, like final step, probably again get a repeat what was there in the interview, in the CV, since this person doesn't know me, have to explain him based on my CV, talk about some, this is going to be some talk probably about generic motivation, nothing more special, just like a final conversation. But what it actually assesses, these stages assess the seniority level of a candidate or level match with a specific team context. It assesses the ownership and, as I said, accountability of a person. Their decision-making skills under usually ambiguity. There's always a talk about ambiguity, about not knowing what to expect, not knowing some specific details about your tasks in the past, but, well, what were you doing then there? And of course, some motivation and role expectations. You'll always, during the talk with the hiring manager, hear questions like, why do you want to... Why did you, for instance, decide to write code for mobile devices? What brought you into mobile development? What are your favorite tasks? What you like to work on, or in opposite, what kind of tasks you hate? What are your expectations here? What do you want to do in the future? So we usually ask those questions. As usual, let's start with the mistakes. What do you think, candidate, the one like Alex that's just expecting some like conversation based on his CV, some expectation of motivation, what mistakes he might make that may make his chances lower? Your ideas? Underestimating, of course. Yeah, that's definitely might be there. Any other idea? Yeah, so not asking about the future team, the future tasks. Yeah, what is in front of him, right? This can happen as well too. Also, not only this. If we're talking about a candidate who's been asked some question about their past experience, things that happen unfortunately too often is well, given some abstract answers instead of real examples, saying something like during working on some project my team, we did something and it led to those consequences. So not like separating their own experience, their own impact, their own role from what the team was doing, which is important. The team could do anything, but your impact is something that the hiring manager, something that the company that's hiring you is interested in. So separate that. Describing, for instance, only successful projects, not reflecting on mistakes, trying to avoid mentioning those mistakes. Candidates sometimes can't explain what they want from the next role. Why? What are their expectations about their future growth, in what way they want to grow. Or the most, in my opinion, terrible thing, blaming other people when discussing problems that could have happened in the past projects. For instance, you were working in a company, things weren't great, you were working maybe with some people you thought were stupid. I'm sure we sometimes think about other people in this way. We might also want to blame those people, even during interviews, saying that those people are stupid, they weren't listening to me. I am the smart one, I am the D'Artagnan. But this is a red flag. This is not what you need to do. Just be like calmer, okay? And yeah, given no reflection on what you learned. A stronger approach here is, well, first thing you have to do, I would say before the final interview, but better if you do that before applying for any job position. You can do that, I could say today, not today, we have a busy evening here, so you can do that tomorrow, you can do that next week. Prepare 5 to 7 real stories from your experience. I'll cover that a bit later I think, like in 2 or 3 slides. But still, preparing some real stories from your experience is very important. It gives you a chance to stay calmer when you hear questions that you expected. Always clearly explain the context of the situations you faced in your experience on your past projects, on your previous job position. Explain the context, explain your actions, what you were doing, explain the result that came and what you learned from it. As I said earlier, separate your personal contribution from your team's contribution. Those are 2 different things. What your team has done is important, but way less important than what you were doing, what you achieved. Connect your motivation to the actual role. I mean, ask the interviewer, ask, for instance, your potential future team lead, what there is gonna happen, as one of you said. Ask what kind of tasks his team usually works on. What are the key things about the product their team works on? So try to connect this actual particular role to your motivation, to your experience. And, well, demonstrate your maturity. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be like always right. It's totally okay to mention some mistakes you made in the past, but just show that you reflected on those mistakes and demonstrate that you learned something from it. A simple structure you might follow in the stories you could prepare is like the following. Just always name the context, your role, what you did, the result, and what's your key learning from that. And this leads us to a final takeaway here. Well, first, use concrete stories. We'll cover it on the next slide as well. Explain your contribution, reflect honestly on your mistakes, conflicts, if there were some, show how you make decisions, and understand what kind of role you want and connect your motivation to the particular team's context. But the stories, just try to reflect on things like this. When I mentioned the bank of stories you might prepare, this is going to cost some time, probably a few hours, I would say. But try to, if you are applying for a position, to prepare some stories about the impact you had on your project. Try to make a, think of a story about a conflict you had with your colleagues or teammates or like any people around on your past project or job. About failures you had, what you learned from those failures, about ambiguity that there was and what you decided to do in this situation, about some leadership or ownership you showed, about collaboration that you had with someone. Yeah, just giving you, okay. So then the conclusion here, all of the stages, as you might have seen, might have noticed, have a few things in common. What you have to do, you have to always clarify before answering. If you have some assumptions, clarify. If you have some questions, ask those questions. Make your thinking visible. Be explicit. Talk a lot. Again, the interviewers there are they are always there for your questions. Otherwise, we would just give you a task like as a homework. You would do it and send back to us. We would evaluate it. But no, the interviews, they are there for a reason. And this reason is that you can talk to them. You need to talk to them. Structure your responses. Try to be concise, clear, connect. If you're talking about experience, your answers to that particular experience. Explain during coding, during system design sessions, trade-offs, not only conclusions you've come with. And the easiest part, right? Stay calm under ambiguity. And this is going to be easier if you prepare well before trying to pass those interviews. Thank you for your attention.